Oh, sorry, that's for a Democrat show.
Let me know when you're ready.
No matter what the technical difficulty is, this man is a professional. He goes all the way.
What you represent to them is freedom.
Was an extremely great conservative commentator. We're tearing it up on Wednesday night. This is awesome. This
will allow me to retort.
Well, this is Jersey Joe for the Reaver of Common Sense show. 8 p.m. on shrmedia.com.
Actually, I just totally screwed up. This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe. And I am, well, holy shit. There goes the whole intro. Welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, you can go to Reaver.1 if you want to watch a live broadcast or if you want to join the chat. So just go to Reaver.1, click on the live stream button, and be a part of the show. Last but not least, if you want to support the show or support SHR Media, you can go to Reaver.1/shop. That is REAVER.ONE/SHOP, and you can pick yourself up a pro Second Amendment T-shirt, your pro Blue Lives Matter T-shirts. Oh, had a definite Freudian slip there. You can get survival bracelets and even a pocket constitution. So go to Reaver.1/shop. And today on the show, we have a special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself, Beezy?
Well, good morning. I mean, it's morning here.
Good morning.
It's almost the darn afternoon where you are right now.
Yep.
Well, great. Thank you for having me on the show. I greatly appreciate it. This is the first time that we've had occasion to speak one-on-one. I met a lot of the people on the Sack Edge Radio Media Network when everybody went to Las Vegas about a month ago or so in July. So that was fun to meet a whole bunch of people there. But this is my first time meeting you, so it's great to see and to hear you.
Great to meet you too, sir. And yeah, I couldn't make it financially unable to get out there. I wanted to, but couldn't afford it.
Well, it was a great time, had by all, and it was great to meet all the other people from SHR Media as well. And now I'm getting to meet you, so it's great.
Yeah. So, what's your background?
Boy, that was quick.
I like to jump right in it.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was a registered Democrat. And I grew up in a time when being a child would kill you. We had back then in the 50s and 60s what I called combat telephones that were about 75 pounds each and had rotary dials, and you had massive index fingers that were ensconced in muscle because of the tremendous amount of strength that it took to turn a rotary dial telephone. And I started to get into politics a bit when I went into college, because the particular year that I went into college was not only the summer of love, but it was the same year that, Martin Luther King happened to be assassinated and Robert Kennedy was assassinated. So I thought it was a wonderful thing if I would become a Democrat. So I did. I was a registered Democrat. And then that funny thing happened. I actually got a series of good-paying jobs. So once I got some good-paying jobs and began to realize where my taxes were actually going, I made an amazing discovery. I could change to Republican. And probably the greatest time I ever felt about casting a vote was for Ronald Reagan in the late 70s. And I hate to say it, or it's a great thing to say. Ronald Reagan changed me absolutely around. And then I became a registered Republican. And then some other strange things happened. As is wont to say, the Republican Party, I didn't leave it, but it sort of left me. And then I became a registered independent, and I started blogging back in 2004. And so I've had my blog for about 12 years now. And just recently found the SHL Radio Network. I used to be on radio back at many years back in KFBK in Sacramento, and then I went through radio in college and did some other radio shows, went to numerous concerts, lost my hearing, got tinnitus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for years of wearing headphones like you're wearing right now. So I came around to be a conservative, and there we go. That's about it in a nutshell.
All right. I know we have not had the chance yet to really speak yet, so I'll give you the background on me a little bit. I never started out doing radio. This is just something, actually Sean gave me the chance to do about 2014. When I turned 16, I started volunteering on a fire truck, just as my dad was a volunteer firefighter, and I ended up getting into the ambulance and made that a career up until about 7 years ago when I injured my back. Then I got in a car accident. Things got worse. And I actually am kind of disabled now. So I'm able to voice my opinion. But like you, at one point, I was a Democrat. Then I started really waking up. I went independent. But I still had a little bit of the Democrat leanings because I was believing all the lies and the bullshit that were being told. Until, like... I want to say before Obama, but I had actually fell for Obama's bullcrap when he first got in. I didn't vote for him, but I fell for his bullshit. And that's when I started really waking up to what's going on. And I didn't feel I had a voice. So I started doing a podcast. Sean heard it. I had gotten Chris Perantu to do an interview with me. This is back in 2004. The book had just come out. And Sean told me I needed to go.
Right?
Huh?
The SEAL guy, Chris Peranto?
Well, he's a Ranger, but from...
Oh, Ranger, I'm sorry. He would kill me if I said
that. Benghazi.
Right.
Yeah, so Sean kept telling me how I had to do it live, so I did like 2 shows live before interviewing him, and then it's been... Since then, it's just been keep doing the show, and... Yeah, I just try to get my voice out. I'm not one of these. I have some college education. I speak plainly. I'm not. I don't try to. I see a lot of the shows out there. Not all of them, but some of the shows. It seems like they try to impress by everybody by talking above them. So I just try to speak in plain language, the way you would have a conversation outside, and it gets me in trouble sometimes, I'll tell you that. So that's my background for you.
Well, you sound like your transformation was somewhat recent, since about roughly, 2004, 2008?
Well,
right around in there?
Yeah. Well, the transformation to conservative, yeah, I'd say right around 2007, 2008. Like I bought his bullshit, but I didn't vote for him. I actually voted for McCain. But just he talked a good game. I know a lot of people that even said that they were conservative, but when he got in office and he gave that speech that first day, you know, they had given him the benefit of the doubt and bought into it, and it really pissed them off that they were proven wrong.
Well, you went through something of a rather startling 180 then yourself. It wasn't sort of semi-gradual. It was pretty rapid with you.
No, and once I started learning that what I've been told all these years was a lie, I got more and more pissed off about it. because I started looking at what all the bullshit they were saying. You know, how Republicans are racist, they're against this, they're against that. They want to shut down Social Security. They want to kill your puppies. And I really started looking at it going, how the hell was I so stupid that I believed all that bullshit? Once I started looking into it, it's like there's so many holes in their lies, it's not funny.
Well, yeah, except for the part about puppy killing. There is a lot of puppy killing going on.
Well, you know, I actually thought about doing a commercial. It would be ripping off another commercial I heard. You know, if you don't listen to me, the puppy will get it, and have a little puppy crying, hear a gun cock. And
Oh, my God, that's from a 1978 National Lampoon cover. Buy this magazine or we'll shoot this dog.
Well, there was also, I can't remember who it was. There was, I think it was in the 80s, 90s. There was a radio show host that did that, too. I don't think it was Howard Stern. And they did that, you know. And they ended up doing some albums, actually. And they were playing dog baseball. Oh, my. And now I'm going to have to get a friend of mine that actually introduced me to that. Oh, God. That's going to drive me nuts all day today now.
I like your mug, by the way.
Thank you. They're actually for sale on Reaver.1. So.
Hey, there you go. Perfect opportunity.
Hey, I'll get the plugs in when I can get them.
Hey, listen, if you can't promote yourself, who can you promote?
Exactly. I've been married, so I got to promote myself all the time. But I'm bump. And we were talking off air, and I wanted to bring it up because I like to talk about everything that goes on, especially when I find it funny. And for those that don't know, Leonardo DiCaprio got in a car accident over the weekend. I think it was over the weekend. He was driving, whether it was his car, some say it was his car, some say it was a friend of his, but he was driving a Land Rover, or a Range Rover, when he got in the accident. He was driving an SUV. So a lot of people, including myself, are pointing out the fact that he was driving a Range Rover, which is really hysterical to me. And these people on the left are freaking out that we're pointing out his hypocrisy. And I've gotten told that I'm jealous. I'm being the moral police. One even said I threatened him, which is real funny. They pulled Hillary Clinton on me. It's what the left won't do to protect their false stories. It's sickening almost.
And yet, here's the funny thing. He had has a girlfriend named Nina. And I'm looking at an article. It says Leonardo DiCaprio and Nina Agdal get into, wait for it, Hampton's car crash.
Yep.
Well, tell me, Jersey Joe, who happens to live in the Hamptons? Is it people from downtown Chicago, or is it the elite? I think I know the answer.
Downtown Chicago?
Yeah, there you go. Says the Oscar winner and the model. Are you married to a model, Jersey Joe? I know I'm not.
She should be, but she's not.
Good answer. You are going to get husband points at the conclusion of this broadcast, guaranteed. It said they were heading east on Montauk Highway in Wainscott in a Range Rover at about 4:30 p.m. Saturday when they were struck by a woman driving a Mini Cooper. Now, was the woman struck driving a 1978 Cadillac Seville?
Nope.
No, it was struck by someone driving a Range Rover. Amazing. In the Hamptons.
Well, that's the funny part. He's driving a Range Rover, and she's driving a Mini Cooper. Which one's better for the environment?
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, people did a study about the Hummer, that isn't made anymore, the Hummer H2, as opposed to a Toyota Prius. And it turned out that the Hummer H2 was much less destructive of the environment than the Prius, if for no other reason than the minerals that are required to create the lithium-ion battery in the Prius. They're mined in Soviet Russia, mostly. They have to be transported. They have to be acquired and assembled in a factory, and they have to be shipped to Toyota. And then, of course, when the battery pack in the Prius dies, You can't just leave it in your car, so that's another $10,000 accessory. And then you have to take the battery pack and either disassemble it, and you have to do something with it with the environment. That's extremely costly. And then, of course, you as a firefighter know that when you get into a vehicle accident with a Prius or another vehicle that has a large battery involved, you better be disassembling that car very, very carefully if someone's trapped inside. If you need to use the jaws of life, you have to make sure that the car, prior to even getting into it, is disconnected from its electric source, etc. So, yes, the Hummer H2 is less of a despoiler of the environment than the standard Prius or any other sort of hybrid-type vehicle, like a Nissan Leaf, for example. So, way to go, Hummer. Of course, that was the evil car, the evil, nasty car.
Well, also, you kind of reminded me of something else when you were talking about disconnecting the battery for the Prius. And the one thing a lot of people don't realize when they they think they're being very conscious when they put the solar panels on top of their house. The one thing they don't realize is if your house catches on fire, chances of it burning down are highly increased because firefighters cannot go up on the roof at that point and ventilate just to get the hot smoke out and all that because there's a tripping hazard on the roof now. Secondly, you cannot shut down the power off those solar panels. They're live 24/7. You can't shut them down. Well, not 24/7, but you know what I mean. You can't shut them down, so there's always electricity flowing. You can't get water anywhere near the roof. So people's houses are burning down, and they're sitting there going, what the hell? I'm being conscious. I put them up on my house, and now my house burned down because of them.
You know, and that's very interesting because that's a point that a lot of people don't even think of when you're talking about an emergency response like that. Unless I'd mentioned that about the Prius, I would imagine that a lot of people that are listening right now don't particularly think about that.
I didn't think of it
quite
either.
Certainly had never thought about that with regard to if you had a lot of solar panels on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very interesting. My wife happens to live in Ghetto Central right here, so when people say that I don't have any kind of an idea about what's happening with regard to certain minorities, and certainly in my neighborhood, I am the minority, singular. So I don't have solar panels, nor am I going to waste the money on her house around here. But it's a very interesting observation. Also, I noticed that I happen to live in California. I call it Fornicalia because it does that to almost everything that it touches. But in the process of that, there's a lot of farmland in the central California and Sacramento Valley. And because of the various leftist leanings, it was decided that particular companies were going to come in, and farmers sold their land to solar farms. So in the brilliance of leftists, because California is one of the breadbaskets of the world and certainly of the left coast, and a lot of that stuff, I'm sure, produce goes all around the United States, it was in the infinite wisdom decided that they would put lengthy solar panels all through probably close to 200-plus acres of beautiful, fertile Fornicalia land, and then cover this land with solar panels so that the farmers who sold that land can no longer grow produce there. How very sad.
Isn't it California, they have, I forget what it's called, so forgive me, I didn't plan on bringing it up, but they have that solar array where it's mirrors and they point it to a tower and it heats water up to generate the steam to generate electricity, but they had to shut it down because it was killing too many birds. But the Go ahead.
That's down in Southern California. I'm up in Northern California, so I don't know that much about that. But here's the other interesting thing. Now the various leftists are saying that the various wind turbines that are around here, that because never are they all working at once, because that's just the nature of wind. Imagine that, God not creating wind 24/7. But
global warming.
The wind turbines in global warming are not turning, and a lot of environmentalists are against wind power now because it kills too many birds.
Yep.
You know what I think is a perfect idea is all these various leftists who think that it's various forms of power. You have to get power somewhere, otherwise their iPads and iPhones are certainly not going to work. I think we get thousands of exercise bicycles, attach magnetos to them, and have leftists bicycle these things in groups of thousands, line them all up so that they can create magneto electric power. And then they just have shifts. They bicycle for 8 hours. It makes them great legs. They have huge thighs. And then they create electric power. I think that's a great idea.
They won't do it. That means they would have to get a job.
Oh, crap. There's always the fly in the ointment.
No matter which way you go with it, they're always, I mean, I love how they talk about these cars. Well, these cars are going to be the greatest. Well, how does it get its electricity? Well, you plug it in at night. Okay. Where does electricity come from? The power plant. You mean the coal power plant that you now have to burn more coal to create more electricity because you're plugging your damn car in. Yeah, that. But I'm saving the environment. That's when you want to just have that rubber mount just walking around pulling cartoons. You'd be bopping them on the head as you go along. Ugh.
But see, that's an excellent point. I've been saying that for quite some time. If you want to go to electric vehicles, and it seems as though that's the push at this point, Tesla is selling a lot of vehicles funded by the U.S. government, as a matter of fact, as you and I both know.
Yeah.
But if you sell more electric cars, where are you going to get the electricity? Because according to the environmentalists and the various leftists, there is no real acceptable form of electric production. I don't think this country has produced an electrical generation station in quite some time. Certainly it hasn't happened in California. The thing that surprises me about California is the fact that San Diego is in the process of building a multi-billion-dollar salt seawater conversion plant down in Southern California. I'm quite surprised that got through. But in terms of electrical production, I quite frankly don't know of any new electrical production plants that are here on the left coast. And we already have brownouts in the summer out here on the left coast. There's I can't think of the name of it, but there's a Central California distributor that monitors the power and decides where they're going to get the power and move it over to various portions of the grid. But if we're already having electrical problems, and if we create more electric vehicles and demand a greater drain on the electrical system, where are we going to get that power? You make an excellent point. Where are we going to get that power?
I don't understand, and going a little bit different direction too again, and I'm sorry. Here in Florida and Tampa, we have a lot of coal power plants, and the air is beautiful down here. Trust me, I come from New Jersey. The air is beautiful down here. And the restrictions that Obama keeps putting through his EPAs on these plants has caused the cost of electric or coal-powered plants to skyrocket. So what do the left idiots down here do? Start attacking our Republican governor, blaming him for it. I'm like, because back in 2014, we had the elections for the governor. And there was a couple of idiots blaming him. I'm like, no, it's not. Well, you're just on his side. I'm like, no. You have to look at Obama's EPA regulations, you morons. You have to look and see all the restrictions that we have to do that for the environment. And I'm like, what do you think it's going to happen when they have to pay more money to put in 20,000 more goddamn filters into these plants? Where are they going to get that money? Oh, they have to raise the prices. Bingo, you moron. Oh, yeah, I am screwing myself. Our prices are going up. I mean, our governor has done a great job on trying to keep them down by not allowing an increase. But, I mean, the power cost is going up exponentially because Obama keeps making it stricter regulations, and now he's doing it with the truckers. He keeps screwing over with their trucks on the emissions. He just made changes recently, and what did he do again this past week? Made more changes. And our truckers may not be able to drive on the road because of this. I can't wait till we get, hopefully, a Republican president that's not going to be going around trying to kill every business just because of this global warming crap. I get so sick of it. Sorry.
Well, the funny thing about coal is you can't convince me that you can't make clean coal power. The technology probably exists for all the scrubbers and that kind of thing like that. And
My dad put those scrubbers in the 70s, and he said that what was coming out is almost zero.
But you can't convince me. If you remember, Obama said that you can have coal power, but I'm going to make it so expensive for you to build new coal plants that you're essentially going to go out of business. And he said that openly. Yeah. And so he's making sure that he gets rid of his coal power plants. And I have nothing particularly against greener power.
I don't either.
Power cannot come from one specific source. The greatest, most efficient source of power right now is coal or petroleum or gas, one of those three primary products. And it's a petroleum source, petroleum-based economy right now. And if you want to transition, that's fine, but you cannot rely on one particular source. You cannot rely specifically on wind power. Yep. You cannot rely specifically on solar. You cannot rely specifically on geothermal or water production, for example. So you have to have a combination of all of those various things. And for God's sake, in this state, and certainly in the rest of the nation, you're not going to go nuclear. There's a big problem with nuclear in the first place. If you happen to be on Google, right now we're going through uranium-plutonium reactors. One of the finest, most effective reactors extant right now is from a mineral called thorium. And if you Google thorium reactors, you're going to find something very, very interesting about that. When you begin to look into thorium reactors, and the industry around here is not going to change unless they're dragged kicking and screaming to thorium. Thorium is an extremely common element and much more easy to mine. But despite that, we're not going to go to thorium. And number two, we're not going to go to nuclear reactors here in the United States.
Well, we got a couple here in Florida.
Elements in place. What is it that leftists imagine that we're going to do to source our electricity? They want what they want when they want it, but it's certainly not practical to do all of those things. So I do not see any pie in the sky solution to the problem. No. But even if there is a solution, and it's a multifaceted solution, you don't just stop everything and then go to another source. You have to blend it in and sort of taper off a bit as you bring other sources in. But they want to completely kill coal, kill petroleum. That's not the way to handle our electricity. That's just not the way to do it.
Well, you have to have a viable replacement and ready to go and already in the works before you go killing coal and petroleum. And that's what they're doing it the opposite way, going, well, if we kill these two, we'll figure out how to, put in something else in its place. That's not the way it kind of works. I'm going to have to cut you off real quick. We got to go to break, and we'll be, back. Hopefully you can stick around. Hopefully you'll stick around a while today. But we're going to go to break, and you're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Radio, ICRN Network, Red Nation Rising, YouTube, Speaker, and iTunes. We will be right back.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
Now at Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our Gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. And we also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
My name is Chris Peranto, call sign Tonto. I was with the Global Response Staff. We were the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency in Benghazi, Libya on 9/11/2012. Myself and my team responded to an attack that killed Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, and two of my teammates, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. Radical Islam is basically terrorism in a nutshell. It wants to not only put down Western values, it wants to kill anybody that supports those Western values, which is freedom, which is Christianity, and which is also anything that looks poorly on Sharia law. We've allowed it again to grow into something that it shouldn't be, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day that we don't lead from the front. Obama and Hillary, by avoiding the phrase radical Islam, they're being politically correct. They don't see it for what it is, and that's straight up destroying the Western world. Radical Islam doesn't have a fear. They will give up their lives. They will detonate themselves. They will do anything they can to fulfill Sharia law and kill the infidels. If we're not able to even say radical Islam, the word radical Islam, there's no way we can fight it. There's no way we can defeat it. The United States of America doesn't lead from behind. We're always setting the example. If not, we're going to see terrorism get bigger and bigger, and eventually it's just going to be continual lone wolf attacks in the United States. And I don't want that to happen to my kids. I don't want to see my family go through that. Please join me in waking up Washington in this fight on radical Islam, seeing the threat that it really is. Sign up at leadingfromthefront.org.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the Reaver of Common Sense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date on everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense show. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, if you want to watch a broadcast, you can go to Reaver.1. Click on the live stream. You can watch broadcast, and that is where you can find the live chat. You can also listen to the show and join the live chat, or watch the live show and join the live chat. Got a couple options there for you. If you want to support the show, you can go to Reaver.1/shop. That is REAVER.ONE/SHOP. All right, BZ, where were we? I know we were bitching about the environmental. I mean, I believe I'm very much into we need to protect the environment. I'm a fisher. I love fishing, and I can tell who the liberals are and who the conservatives are when I'm out fishing, because conservatives are very much about cleaning up, and they watch how much fish they catch. And I've actually asked it, independent of saying, oh, well, you know, because you did this, you're a conservative. No, I'll be like, getting the conversation, pull out what they are. And the ones that are overfishing, leaving a mess, are the liberals, because they expect somebody else is going to do it for them. But they're the ones that push the issues the most. Now, I believe what we got going on now is they want to cut their foot off. What happened to my audio? They want to cut the leg off because we stubbed our toes with the environment.
Well, you're sort of cutting the nose off to spite the face. Here's a perfect, absolutely ridiculous. If this was some other purple-skied planet, you wouldn't think that this would have occurred, but it actually did. In the central Sacramento Valley, there happens to be, and the central area is replete with what they call the Sacramento Delta, and to a certain degree up the Delta there comes salt water, and then it becomes fresh water. And the Delta is around the northern Sacramento Valley, Stockton, Sacramento, right around through there. And there is a small fish, which is essentially nothing more than a bait fish, ranging from 3 to 4 inches, called the Delta smelt. Well, of course, the Fish and Game does studies, and they collect numbers of these fish, and the numbers have dwindled for a bait fish in the Delta. At last count, this was 2014 when this occurred. In 2014, they came up with a count of 6 Delta smelt. In 2014, that was also right around the middle, 2014, 2015, the middle of the California drought. So in order to keep a bait fish alive, and of course, as we mentioned before, Fornicalia is one of the great agricultural breadbaskets in the United States. Great land, but for land, you have to have water. So in order to have water, you access it through the Delta, rivers, water tables, etc. Well, what the Fish and Game people decided to do, and this is on a federal level, to keep a bait fish alive, they allowed trillions, let me stop and say that again, trillions with a T, trillions of gallons of water to flow unimpeded from the mountains There are various ways to trap it and stop it and divert it, but they decided that they did not need to do that. So they pissed away during a drought in Fornicalia trillions of gallons of water out into the Pacific Ocean in order to keep 6, yes, count them, 6, Delta smelt alive. And these are not my statistics. These are not the statistics of someone on the right-hand fringe. These are statistics that have come out of the state of California and the federal government, and that's exactly what they did. And it is staggeringly, brain-glazingly, ridiculously stupid what they did in the midst of a drought. But that's how absolutely stultifying, ridiculous leftists are and can be, certainly in this state.
It's a man-made drought, and I think they're doing it not because of the fish, but because they want to cause the drought to take more control. Because if you look at some of the Agenda 21 issues with the UN, one of the things that they recommend is they take control of waterways and all that. And what's better way to control the people? You control the water. And that's what they've done in California. They've taken a large control because they're controlling when you guys get water and when you don't by creating this man-made drought. And it helps prove their point of, or they think it helps prove their point of global warming, which anybody who would have a brain can see they're creating most all the situations.
You know, you mentioned that. That brings up to my mind 2 very interesting points about the state of Fornicalia. There is an extremely leftist county on the coast of Fornicalia, just slightly above San Francisco, imagine that, called Marin County. And in Marin County, rainwater that falls from the sky, you cannot collect it. Rainwater, according to Marin County, belongs to them.
Yeah,
it does not belong to you. It belongs to them. So you cannot catch it. You cannot hold it. You cannot use it. You must simply let it fall. That's insanity unbridled. Absolutely.
My response would be, then keep it off my property. If it comes on my property, it is now mine. We got something similar in Florida, but they don't enforce it. I don't see them enforce it. What's funny is they have it, but then like my county has these, they teach us classes on rain collections to help with your garden, so you don't have to be using, you know, the drinkable water and all that. You could use the rainwater for your gardens, and they give you rain barrels, you know, free. Here, collect the water, help save the environment. But then they have these laws hidden in a way that you're not allowed to do it. I think the worst is Maryland. They want to tax you on the rain falling on your property because it's eroding certain areas away. So to offset the costs to repairing those areas that are eroded by rainwater, they're going to tax you on the rain that falls on your house.
Well, it was interesting in the not too terribly distant past, and it may still, the EPA may still consider this, but they wanted to be able to step onto your property if you had low points on your property and rain collected in vernal pools. The federal government wanted to have a say as to what happened with those vernal pools and collected water on your property. That's again, that's just amazing. The intrusion that the federal, I used to work for the federal government. The intrusion into people's lives with regard to that is in fact staggering. And you cannot convince me, man is fairly intelligent, but you cannot convince me that a couple of things don't and aren't occurring already. Weather is cyclical. Mm-hmm. We are incredibly arrogant to think that we could possibly know at this point how these cycles occur, how they have occurred over not just a couple of hundred years when we've been collecting statistics, not just through decades, but weather occurs, it's been occurring in cycling for
Thousands.
Hundreds of thousands,
Mm-hmm.
millions of years. And to think that we know exactly how these cycles operate, and to think that we know that we can foretell how they're going to occur in the future is amazing.
Yeah, but they can't predict tomorrow's weather.
Of us to think that we know how this is going to occur. I don't think that we have that ability. Certainly the technology would lead people to believe, obviously, that they think that we can predict the future. How many times have you had a prediction from the weather particular person, and then you look out the window and you say to yourself, doesn't this bastard actually look out the window himself?
Yeah, I had just said that we can't predict tomorrow's weather with a 50% accuracy. But the one thing is, my father was a farmer. And one of the things he taught me is you pay attention to the Farmer's Almanac. That thing is more dead on than any weatherman or climate Scientologist, whatever the hell they call themselves. And the one thing we have is every 25 years... Oh, hang on. I just saw a headline. Bill Nye the Science Guy blames Louisiana flooding on global warming. So too much rain is global warming. No rain is global warming. Cold weather is global warming. Hot weather is global warming. What isn't global warming?
Well, everything. And isn't that, as the church lady says, how convenient must that be? Well, it's readily convenient. It's climate change. Yes, there is climate change. The climate does change.
Well, my grandfather said every 20, 25 years you will have a cycle. And I kind of started thinking back, and kind of like I remember in the 70s when I was born, when I was a kid, there was a heavy snows up, and I was in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area. We get heavy snows. Then 80s, it kind of tapered off. Then the 90s, it started to kick back in, and now they're getting friggin' blizzards up there. And it's just, you go through little cycles where it goes a little hot, a little cold, a little hot. And when you look at the increase in temperatures during the 80s, it coincides with large solar flares that happen. As the solar flares are calming down, we're starting to get cold weather coming in. And
it's interesting you should point that out, because solar flares do have quite a bit to do, and the moon as well, with the climate on the planet. If you watch, for example, I'm a fan of Deadliest Catch. For whatever reason, I really enjoy watching Deadliest Catch. You can look at the winters in Deadliest Catch and see that the pack ice has been increasing over the years up in the Bering Sea. If it increases someplace else, yes, it probably decreases in another. That's called logic. For every scientist that you can show or bring to me that says that there's a global catastrophe on the cusp of occurring, I can show you another scientist, the creator of the Weather Channel, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Who says that that's absolute bunk. For every scientist that you bring to me that says that it's getting hotter and it is, in fact, global warming, I can show you a bevy of scientists who believe that we're on the cusp of another ice age. We were in a bit of an ice age in the 1800s as well.
The 70s, they were screaming about that we're going to hit an ice age. In the 70s, oh, my God, prepare for the ice age.
Yes, well, here's another one. Paul Ehrlich was a scientist in the 60s, because that's when I grew up, who wrote a book called The Population Bomb. And Paul Ehrlich said that because of the grand, burgeoning, exploding number of persons that were on the planet, that we're all going to die. And so the bottom line is we're all going to die. If any leftist comes up with global warming, et cetera, we're all going to die. Well, isn't that odd? We didn't explode. There was no real population bomb, so to speak. And oddly enough, we're still here.
Mm-hmm.
So I take all of this stuff with a grain of salt, well, except for the BBC, who now says that any mention of anti-global warming will not be broadcast, and anyone making a claim of that there will not be aired. So the leftists have spoken. This is the way it's going to be. We will brook no dissent whatsoever. Good to know.
It seems to me, and I was actually making a comment on, I forget where it was, on Facebook, that if they can't win the argument, that they will shut down the argument. They can't win on facts and reason, so their only other recourse is to shut down the discussion so that they are the only voice out there so they can go, see, we are right. Everybody's backing us. Nobody's speaking against us. And that's the only way they're going to be able to win is by shutting down the free speech to talk against them. They tried doing it through intimidation, and it's not working nowadays.
That's already the state of affairs on our college campuses. The snowflakes require their own little safe spaces, etc., because they can, in fact, book no dissent. Dissent of any kind results in tears, finger-pointing, hysterical pants-shiting, that sort of thing, and they cannot take it. It's an emotive argument as opposed to when I want to know something, I want to know, bring me facts. When I was a supervisor, you had to bring me facts. Tell me what it is that the problem is, and then bring me facts, bring me solutions. I don't want to hear what you think. I want to hear what it is that you know. And not so much with college campuses. They're some of the places of the least amount of free thinking or creativity, when in fact they believe the exact opposite, that they are absolute citadels of clear, creative, and free thinking. That's absolutely not the case.
No. It boggles my mind how they can claim to have any free thinking when there's no opposing. Example, I'm going to discuss it more tomorrow on the show, is Michael Bloomberg is demanding that the John Locke interview be cut from the core gun control film because it actually dismantles a lot of the anti-gun rhetoric that he pushes. So now he wants it removed from the film because the film is actually not doing what they wanted. It's actually giving a neutral opinion it was. So now they're going to edit it, and he wants certain things removed so he can get his anti-gun view out there as the only view that's allowed. They try it on so many different levels, from global warming to politics to their anti-gun rhetoric, and it goes on, and that's one that I will never shut up on, is the anti-gun bullshit. Sorry. It pisses me off with Michael Bloomberg. They go after the NRA, saying the NRA can't get involved, but Bloomberg's allowed to be involved. He's allowed to buy elections.
Well, the funny thing is, I was a sheepdog. I'm still a sheepdog. I am an oath keeper. I took an oath. I promised to keep my oath. The Second Amendment, in my opinion, exists for the First Amendment and all the rest of the amendments and the Bill of Rights. It exists to keep us free. The borders exist to keep us free. Sovereignty exists to keep us free. It's disappointing to think that there are so few people now who have the ability to understand just where it is that what and how brilliant our founding fathers absolutely were, that they created these things so that their negative rights, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights exist in terms of negative rights, not positive rights. In other words, if you read the Bill of Rights and look at the Constitution, it tells the government not what it can do, but it tells the government what it can't do with the people of primary importance. In number 1, it says the government cannot do these things throughout all of the amendments. And that's the way it truly ought to be. I can think of no other successful government on the planet except for ours. And in my opinion, it's being threatened.
Oh, yeah. Hillary has already said that all of our constitutional amendments, the government has the right to regulate, which I thought I was brought up that's our constitutional rights. That's why they're there, so the government can't regulate those rights. And she has said it's not just the Second Amendment that I'm fighting for. It's not just the First. It's all of them that she says that the government and her as president would have right to regulate. And people just automatically think we're arguing because we love our guns and all that. No, I love all my freedoms, so I'm trying to fight for all of my freedoms, not just for me, for everybody, because there's so many lemmings on this goddamn continent right now that they don't understand the freedoms they have and are willing to give them up just for an ounce of illusion of safety. And that's all it is the illusion.
Well, it is an illusion of safety. I'll go so far as to say this. And I, someone may call me a tinfoil hat wearer, but ultimately, Admiral Grace Hopper will be pretty much the downfall of the entire planet. And what I mean by that is this. She created the system known as COBOL, which then became basically the digital age, the creation of ones and zeros. And ladies and gentlemen, anything that you can digitize, anything that works on a digital system can be hacked. Anything. The NSA has been hacked. The FBI has been hacked. The DNC has been hacked. You've been hacked.
You just don't know.
The NSA is a massive collector of information, and there isn't anything that exists digitally that cannot be hacked. I'm sure you probably, I would wager that your listeners already realize that new aircraft have been hacked, and uncommanded controls have been made in the air, unbeknownst to most people, because Boeing, Airbus, etc., don't want that information out in the age. But if it connects to the Internet, if it is digital, it can be hacked. Automobiles have already been hacked. Anything that is digital can be hacked. And we're getting to a point where there is no privacy. I'm a great advocate of privacy. I'm a bit of a libertarian, not a large L libertarian, because some of the things that libertarians, in my opinion, happen to embrace are completely out the door. But I'm a small L libertarian. I believe in a smaller government, and I also believe in privacy. People need to be left the hell alone to do and create as they will, and then everything else will sort of revolve around that. But we have no privacy now. It's only going to get worse. And then when you digitize and remove cash, when you have a cashless society, the government can do anything that it wants in inflationary times, in deflationary times. It can reach into your accounts. You've heard, I'm sure, of negative interest. When you go to a cashless society, the government can create penalties for your savings. And they can insist, essentially, that you not save, that you can spend in times when it benefits the government. They can create controls that make you want to spend in times that benefit the government. They can make you save when you don't necessarily want to save. When you go to a digital, cashless society, then you have ceded ultimate control of your fiscal future to the government, any government.
I never thought of that point. That's actually a pretty good point. And the one thing I want, because I have no problem talking about it, I was looking into, because the Republican Party has somewhat disenfranchised me, but the Libertarian Party, I started looking into local, and I noticed this on a national level too. The one thing I don't like is there's a group of them that it seems that if you disagree with them, if you have your own independent thought, you get verbally attacked, and, it's the whole, if you don't agree with me, you're against the Constitution, screaming and shouting in your face type. Now, that pushed me away from the Libertarian Party. And also some of the openness that they're pro-everything. That kind of pushed me away. I'm for the smaller government, but I'm not for downsizing our military. I'm not for and I know not all of them are for all of this type of ideology. The isolationist type ideology, I am highly against. I don't want to get involved in everybody's problems, But as a nation, we have always, and worldwide, when we have led, when we've been, I guess, for lack of a better word, the police of the world has been a lot more peaceful. And I think it's in our best interest that we go back to leading and we go back to being the police of the world for our own safety. And that's just some of the libertarian that I have seen that it just, I can't go to that. I couldn't. I mean, some of the ideology that they push scares me. And again, I know it's not all of them, but within my area, I was looking at some of the meetings online, the video of it, and just people getting almost to the point of violence, screaming at people, well, if you don't agree with us, you're against us. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm away.
I tend to be a bit of a menu man. I tend to have crafted my philosophy by stealing bits and pieces from all sorts of sources, from the Republicans, from conservatives, and from the libertarians. I'm a little bit of a libertarian, small L, but the things that I grandly disagree with are the removal of borders. Libertarians are essentially they're not much interested in sovereignty, and in my opinion, countries cannot exist without borders and sovereignty. And the perfect example of the detrimental effects of something like that, all you have to do is cast your eye over to Europe and what's happening in the EU right now.
Yep.
The second portion of that is hot and cold running drugs. Having worked in law enforcement, I see what's occurring and what has occurred with regard to drugs. Colorado and Washington are experiencing, because of the legalization of marijuana, things that they're simply not prepared for. They're not prepared for the accident rate having gone up. They're not prepared for the ODs that are occurring. They're not prepared for the children that are accessing this sort of thing. You know, marijuana is okay within reason, and I would wager that it probably has a medicinal use. I've not applied it. There's a history for that. My mother smoked like a furnace. That's what everybody did when they were men and women in World War II, the greatest generation. Everyone smoked like crazy. And because my mother would ensconce us into the automobile in the dead of winter and not allow the windows to be rolled down, well, even during the summer, and then she'd light up a cigarette, and it would look like, downtown Calcutta on a very bad day inside the automobile. I don't really care for smoking. That's just me. But the unbridled usage of drugs with little or no control except for taxes for the state, that's another separate entity and story whatsoever. No, I can't say that I'm for hot and cold, unbridled running drugs all the time. The other thing that I find disturbing is that Gary Johnson, who's the Libertarian candidate right now, made a statement, I think it was this year or late last year, one of the two. He was on a particular radio show and said that essentially he wanted to eliminate the U.S. carrier groups. That's just insanity. The U.S. has 11 carrier groups right now. A carrier group is sort of an operational formation of the Navy. It consists of at least one carrier, one cruiser, a squadron of destroyers, at least two destroyers, some frigates, and a carrier air wing of, I don't know, they usually have like 60 to 70 aircraft. And what they also don't want to know is that with each carrier group, there's also an attack sub somewhere around there, Los Angeles class attack sub or something like that. If you get rid of carrier groups are the extension of America power. They're like airports at sea. And when we need to go to support our people or those that we have sworn to support, you cannot go eliminating that. You cannot go wholesale eliminating America's extended power. There are two groups of classes, two groups of countries that rule what they call blue water. They have the blue water navy, which is deep water, and the littorals. And the littorals are like they're close to shore. They're shallow water. We're one of the few countries that have a rampant and functioning, at least for a time, blue water navy. The Chinese, the Soviets, etc. The Soviets are rebuilding, and the Chinese have a remarkable and expanding blue water navy. This is absolutely the wrong time to be spouting off ridiculous things like that. So once you have an individual who says something as, in my opinion, as obscene as that, you've proven to me that you're a retard and you can't be listened to, and you can't be exceeded any amount of credence whatsoever. I'm sorry, but Gary Johnson, by just saying that, you've proven to me that you're a goon, and I can't listen or put any background or veracity to anything that you tell me in the future. You're a moron.
Exactly, and I think some of the libertarians that they have being more boisterous are the ones that are doing more harm to the party, and Johnson's one of them. I think he's doing more harm to that party than anything good. I hate to cut it, but I'm actually running late for that for break. And I think that's when you said you actually had to get going. So I really appreciate you coming on the show. And you're welcome anytime you want. You got the number. Just call on in. So.
Well, thank you ever so kindly, Jersey Joe. It was a pleasure. It was great to meet you. I hope your audience expands exponentially, and it was absolutely grand to speak to you. Thank you kindly for having me aboard, sir.
No problem, sir. And hopefully, like I said, speak to you again. And you've been listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Radio, ICRN Network, Red Nation Rising, Spreaker, YouTubes, and iTunes. We will be right back.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
My name is Chris Peranto, call sign Tonto. I was with the Global Response Staff. We were the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency in Benghazi, Libya on 9/11/2012. Myself and my team responded to an attack that killed Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, and two of my teammates, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. Radical Islam is basically terrorism in a nutshell. It wants to not only put down Western values, it wants to kill anybody that supports those Western values, which is freedom, which is Christianity, and which is also anything that looks poorly on Sharia law. We've allowed it again to grow into something that it shouldn't be, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day that we don't lead from the front. Obama and Hillary, by avoiding the phrase radical Islam, they're being politically correct. They don't see it for what it is, and that's straight up destroying the Western world. Radical Islam doesn't have a fear. They will give up their lives. They will detonate themselves. They will do anything they can to fulfill Sharia law and kill the infidels. If we're not able to even say radical Islam, the word radical Islam, there's no way we can fight it. There's no way we can defeat it. The United States of America doesn't lead from behind. We are always setting the example. If not, we're going to see terrorism get bigger and bigger, and eventually it's just going to be continual lone wolf attacks in the United States. And I don't want that to happen to my kids. I don't want to see my family go through that. Please join me in waking up Washington in this fight on radical Islam, seeing the threat that it really is. Sign up at leadingfromthefront.org.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying confidence, stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the reaverofcommonsense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date on everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, if you want to watch a broadcast, or if you want to be part of the show, it's easy. You go to Reaver.1, click on the live stream. You can join the live chat and be part of the conversation. Or you can also, you can watch a live broadcast or listen to a live broadcast as you chat away. And lastly, if you want to support the show and support SHR Media, go to Reaver.1/shop. That is REAVER.ONE/SHOP. We have t-shirts, we have survival bracelets, we have pocket constitutions. So we had BZ was our guest, and we went over a bunch of topics. I didn't actually plan on even talking about that, but anybody that listens to my show knows that, well, there's really no format. I kind of have a tendency to jump all over the place. One of the things I wanted to talk to is this presidential polling that's going on. the mainstream media has been caught tampering with data. And if you look at the online polling, and I know it's not totally accurate, but you can't have that big of a difference between the two results. Then take a look at Facebook page likes for Trump versus Hillary. Now remember, it's Hillary is with the Democrats, who the Democrats are the ones that push presidential elections and all that onto social media. It was the Democrats who really, I don't want to say invented that, but can't think of a better word. They're the ones that invented using it, the social media, for presidential elections, and since then, other elections. It's been a standard way of gauging support for a candidate by how many likes they have, looking at Twitter followers. But when you start taking into the big picture of the Facebook like differences, the Twitter follow differences, the rally numbers, you got a huge difference. And it's not matching up with these polls that are put out online. Well, not online, but the results that are coming out. The polls online are heavily favoring in Trump's direction. And I'm talking like a 70-30 difference. 70% for Trump, 30% for Hillary, Johnson, and Jill Stein. When you start looking at the rallies, I mean, recently, 37, this is the live streaming of the events, I should say. 37 people watch Trump's live stream of his speech in Wisconsin on Tuesday night. But as noted previously, Clinton is only averaging 500 per live stream of her event. That is a result in a ratio of 74-1. To date, only a little bit more than 8,000 have watched Hillary's speech in West Philadelphia the same day as Trump's speech in Wisconsin. According to Hillary Clinton's speeches and events, while Trump has accumulated more than 66,000 viewers to date. That is a ratio of more than 8-1. Let me... I got to pull up some numbers real quick. Sorry about this. When you go to Donald Trump and you look at, let's see if I can find it. 10.4 million people. Hang on. Shit. Wrong button. Sorry, I should have had all this information to start with. All right, let me get one more piece of information, and then we will be ready to go. Well, then I have to pull up another bit of information, but I'll have the majority of it. I really have to shut the sound off on that. And I don't know how to. So, when we're looking at Facebook, okay, and we're looking at numbers, Trump has 10,421,400 likes on Facebook. Compared to Hillary Clinton's 5,637,001 likes. That is a huge difference in numbers. And that right there shows a major difference in support. I mean, I find it funny. I really do. That there's that big of a difference, and yet, and it's not just the Facebook. It's also Twitter. It's all the social media. The numbers are staggering different. Picking up one last set of numbers. Twitter's followers. 8 point. Now, all right, coming up with the last of the numbers. Now, when you go to Twitter, Trump has 11.1 million followers, where Hillary Clinton has 8.4 million followers. I mean, there's a common thread that is going on here. And that common thread is Trump having higher numbers. When you go on these online polls, I'm always seeing Trump winning. The only polls that I don't see him winning are these polls being released by these the mainstream media. And the polling numbers being shown on the mainstream media are totally false. And since we cannot get factual information from the mainstream media, this group of college kids decided that they were going to call 1,000 homes in each of the 50 states and ask basic questions on economy, terrorism, immigration, and presidential pick. Economy was the number one factor that Americans are concerned about, and terrorism was number 2. Presidential picture was Trump by a large percentage. Trump with 33,478 votes at 67%. Clinton at 9,788 votes at 19%. Undecided or other at 6,739 votes with 13%. Polling was taken by registered voter lists. They accumulated 33% Republican, 33% Democrat, and 34% independent. Our polls consisted of 1,000 calls per state. All 50 states, 50,000 people are in this poll, not the 100 or 200 of the polls conducted by mainstream media, when they only called like 400 people and they want to base their polls on that. And then they have a habit of only picking certain Democrat or a political group. They've been caught tampering with the results. And one of them, they ripped out the 18 to 34-year-old age group because they didn't like the results that they got in the poll, so they had to remove that age group to put Hillary ahead. Another one, and a lot of them, if you look, are heavily Democratic involved people. And when you start looking at the areas that they were calling in high Hillary support areas. This is the misinformation that they're giving, and a lot of people ask, well, why would they give the misinformation? It's simple psychology that people want to back a winner. So when they see that Hillary's leading by these large numbers, or were leading by these large numbers, well, then they start saying, well, there's no use in voting for Trump. Hillary's going to win it, so I might as well not waste my vote, and I'll vote for Hillary. And that's the mentality some people have, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's what they're counting on when they put out these false polls. And with that, we're going to go to commercial, our last commercial. Then we'll go on interrupted to the end of the show. And you're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media, High Plains Pundit Radio, ICRN Network, Red Nation Rising Radio, Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes. We will be right back.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. We also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
My name is Chris Peranto, call sign Tonto. I was with the Global Response Staff. We were the security element for the Central Intelligence Agency in Benghazi, Libya on 9/11/2012. Myself and my team responded to an attack that killed Ambassador Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, and two of my teammates, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. Radical Islam is basically terrorism in a nutshell. It wants to not only put down Western values, it wants to kill anybody that supports those Western values, which is freedom, which is Christianity, and which is also anything that looks poorly on Sharia law. We've allowed it again to grow into something that it shouldn't be, and it's becoming stronger and stronger every day that we don't lead from the front. Obama and Hillary, by avoiding the phrase radical Islam, they're being politically correct. They don't see it for what it is, and that's straight up destroying the Western world. Radical Islam doesn't have a fear. They will give up their lives. They will detonate themselves. They will do anything they can to fulfill Sharia law and kill the infidels. If we're not able to even say radical Islam, the word radical Islam, there's no way we can fight it. There's no way we can defeat it. The United States of America doesn't lead from behind. We are always setting the example. If not, we're going to see terrorism get bigger and bigger, and eventually it's just going to be continual lone wolf attacks in the United States. And I don't want that to happen to my kids. I don't want to see my family go through that. Please join me in waking up Washington in this fight on radical Islam, seeing the threat that it really is. Sign up at leadingfromthefront.org.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by politicians.
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
A team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying confidence, stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can catch the Southside Mutt Show with its hosts, the Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe and Crash, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Radio, where we will be digging up the dirt.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you miss a show, don't worry. You can catch the replays two ways, rebootingliberty.com or the Reaver of Common Sense.com. While you're there on Reaver of Common Sense, don't forget, drop in your email and keep up to date on everything going on, or click the like button on the Facebook widget. Now on to the Reaver of Common Sense.
Listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense show. I am your host, Jersey Joe, and I'm making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to join the live chat. Go to Reaver.1 and click on the live stream, where you can also watch a live broadcast. But you can also join the live chat and be a part of the show, and you can join the conversation. If you want to support the show, support SHR Media, go to Reaver.1/shop and pick yourself up a t-shirt. We got Blue Lives Matter thin blue line American flag t-shirts. Show your support. We have pro Second Amendment. We have the anti-Hillary shirts. And we have, of course, the Reaver of Common Sense t-shirts. All starting at $14.99. These are custom made to order. And there's also survival bracelets that are also custom made when you order them. So go to Reaver.1/shop. That is REAVER.one/SHOP. Get them while you can. So we're talking about these polls that are online, and it just, they are nowhere near the data that is out there. The online polls are overwhelmingly in favor of Trump. You had some college kids do a poll, and it ended up being 67% for Trump, 19% for Clinton. You have, when you look at the Facebook pages, there's 10.4 million likes for Trump, 5.6 for Hillary. When you look at the Twitter followers, you have 11.1 million for Trump and 8.4 for Hillary. When you further look at data and you look at the live streams, you get 37,000 for Trump and 500 for Hillary for a ratio of 74-1. When you look at online videos of Hillary's speech in West Philadelphia, at the same day that Trump gave a speech in Wisconsin, you have 8,000 that watched Hillary's, 66,000 that watched Trump's. That's an 8-1 ratio. The numbers are overwhelming, but yet the mainstream media is screaming that it's either a tight race or that Hillary is winning by a landslide. You even have new polls that are now swinging that Hillary is behind in the mainstream polls. And I wonder, all right, Donald Trump takes Sundays off. That's his day off. Hillary Clinton seems to take Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays off. The number of events are staggering. 7 days have been taken off by Hillary in August in just the first 17 days and is not scheduled for another campaign event, I think, until this Sunday will be the first one she does on a weekend. This means Hillary is working on her campaign 50% of the time. And the average American is wondering if she will put the same 50% lackluster effort if she's elected to president. She has taken a lot of time off, whereas Donald Trump has only taken 2 days off in August, Sunday, August 7th, and Sunday, August 14th, and has 7 days where he has participated in more than one campaign event. And when you look at the numbers there, total estimated attendance, well, let me back that up, sorry. Number of events is 22 events from August 1st to August 17th for Donald J. Trump, for a total estimated attendance at 110,680, with an average estimated attendance of 5,031. Then you look at Hillary from August 1st through August 17th. She has done 11 events and has the estimated attendance total of 14,500. Average estimated attendance is 1,318. So let's put them together next to each other. Donald Trump for total events, 22. Hillary, total events, 11. These are the same time frame. Total estimated attendance for Donald J. Trump, 110,680. Total estimated attendance for Hillary Clinton, 14,500. Estimated average attendance for Donald J. Trump, 5,031. Estimated average attendance for Hillary, 1,318. Tell me again how she is in the lead in the polls. Everything is screaming she is majorly behind, but the mainstream media is, as our government has, this liberal government has been doing, has been artificially inflating our economy. Well, the liberal media is now artificially inflating Hillary Clinton's campaign. Now imagine if mainstream media got caught artificially inflating a Republican candidate. the rest of them would be going ape shit over it, trying to prove it wrong. And their theory is working, because I had to talk someone down from the ledge the other day who was sitting there going, I might as well give up. Hillary Clinton is just going to win anyway. Look at the polls. And I had to explain the Facebook likes, the Twitter followers, the rally numbers, the online poll numbers, the live video viewers. And then I explained, asked, well, why are they doing it? And I had explained, because it gives where, like, himself had given up, and, it's a lost cause, which now has him a little pissed off, and rightfully so. They're playing games, and they're trying to swing, and they're trying to influence the election. And I always thought that influencing elections, especially with false information, could be construed as illegal tampering. But of course, our current federal law enforcement wouldn't investigate those type of illegal activity, because our administration is protecting their party instead of protecting the people. Now, this one I'm finding funny, because a lot of this social media or social justice warrior bullshit is being thrown back in Hillary's face, because now it's being said that she is trying to blame, the rich white woman is trying to blame her problems on a black man. She's trying to say it's his fault for her illegal activity. She's trying to pass the blame onto a black man. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, Hillary Clinton's people have been trying to pin the email scandal on Colin Powell, going so far as to say that he emailed me and said it was okay. Bush administration Secretary of State Colin Powell, complained about his recent appearance in the headlines in connection with Hillary Clinton's private email server scandal. Her people have been trying to pin it on me, Powell told People magazine in the Hamptons this weekend. Powell was referring to Clinton's interview with FBI interrogators, in which she claimed that Powell told her in a memo that he used a private email server as Secretary of State, and that she could too. But Powell made clear to People that he is not involved in the Clintons' mess. The truth is, she was using the private email server for a year before I sent her a memo telling her what I did. So Clinton's excuse with FBI falls completely flat, according to Powell. It doesn't bother me, but it's okay. I'm free. Powell's representatives recently put out a statement saying that Powell only used his private AOL account for unclassified communications. Even the Washington Post thought Clinton's claim to the FBI was just plain wrong. I love this. Fox is like having a field day because they think they have Donald Trump flip-flopping when it's been said he's not. He's not changing. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're just trying to start shit. They are no better than CNN or MSNBC at this point. They're just attacking to attack. They have a bunch of anti-Trump people on their outnumbered. And it's sickening. And They want him to calm down his way of speaking, so he tries to calm down on his speaking, so they attack him saying he's flip-flopping. No, his stance is still there. He's just not trying to be so hurtful to people's feelings. It's... And then this hit the news that 13 were shot at a house party in gun-controlled Connecticut. We also have dozen shot, 4 killed over weekend in gun-controlled Chicago. All these gun-controlled states seem to be having a lot of shootings. But yet, of course, according to the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, Connecticut has universal background checks, no gun show loophole, a ban on high-capacity magazines, and a prohibition on the transfer or possessions of assault weapons. But yet they still have all these shootings going to the point that, geez, your gun control laws do not work. Period. They're not successful. You can add all the laws you want. It's not going to stop the criminals. You could even try banning the guns in this country, and it's not going to stop the criminals from owning weapons. I seem to recall box cutters were the direct cause of 9/11. Box cutters. Simple box cutters. A pressure cooker was directly responsible for Boston Marathon. There was, I forget the name of the college it was. They had a mass stabbing going on out there. Criminals and psychos and terrorists do not need guns to commit their heinous crimes. Anybody that has malice in their hearts will find a way. So making law-abiding citizens defenseless is not the answer. Proof. Where have all these incidents been taking place? They've been happening on gun-free zones. And they want, Obama tries to distract the conversation away from the failure of gun control and wants to come up with the myth of the gun show loophole. When the fewer than 1% of state prison inmates obtain their guns at the time of the offense from a gun show, cost of regulations exceeds the benefit. What is interesting is the remarkable consistency of the rate that criminals obtain their guns from gun shows. One problem with using these surveys is that people think that if one were to actually stop all criminals from obtaining guns from gun shows or through some other way, that will automatically stop the criminals from getting guns. Yet even when there are complete bans on guns, criminals are still able to obtain them. Given how much violent crime is drug gang related, and given how hard it is to stop drug gangs from getting illegal drugs to sell, it is just as difficult to stop these drug gangs from getting the guns that they need to protect their valuable drugs. Thus, it isn't too surprising that background checks on private transfers has beneficial, no impact on crime rates. None. Gun show regulations do have a cost. Almost everyone, all those stopped by background checks, are false positive. A law-abiding citizen who shouldn't have been stopped. Other delays extend beyond the length of the gun show. The delays can usually take up to 3 business days to clear, and gun shows only last for 2 days over a weekend. So even if you buy a gun at the very beginning of a gun show, say Saturday morning, the federal government has until Tuesday morning before a seller is allowed to complete the sale. But by that time, the people who have traveled all the way to the show are long gone. For 2002 to 2006, 92% of checks were completed during the initial call by the dealer. About 3% of the background checks take up to 2 hours to complete. Another 2% take up to 3 business days. And 3% take 3 full business days. Even a 2-hour delay can mean the difference between whether the sale occurs or not. After all, the next stage of the background check won't begin until the first business day, which will be after the gun show has packed up and left. That implies if you try waiting in hopes that the delay will only take 2 hours, there is a 63% chance that you'll have to wait the 2 hours and still not be able to get the gun. Forcing the gun dealers to wait on the telephone for up to a couple of hours means that the dealer can't make other gun sales. A third problem is that there are apparently more breakdowns occurring in the computer background check system. When the system breaks down, no sales can be completed. Under the Clinton administration, the system was down for 6 days each month. That problem essentially disappeared during the Bush administration, but it appears to be back under Obama, though the administration no longer keeps detailed data on how long these delays are. One consequence of these delays is that gun shows background checks on private sales are associated with about a 20% drop in the number of gun shows. This myth about gun show loophole is just that, a myth. It is a distraction from the real conversation that this administration does not want to have, that the anti-gunners don't want to have. And that is, your laws do not stop shit. Your laws interfering with Second Amendment do not stop a thing. They allow criminals to run freely. That's all it does. My father is living proof that disarming the public does nothing but create victims and corpses. These gun-free states, gun-free zones create nothing but a breeding ground for criminals. They go to these areas on purpose because they want easy prey. And these anti-gun advocates are doing nothing more than helping criminals. Michael Bloomberg is doing nothing more than helping psychopaths commit their crimes. Moms Demand are doing nothing but helping psychopaths murder our kids, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers. They are complicit in those crimes against humanity. Thank you for listening. It's come to that time. It sure does go by fast most days. I want to wish everybody a safe and happy day. I will be back tomorrow, my normal time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Reaver of Common Sense. And tomorrow I will be on Southside Mutt Show, hosted by the Jersey Boys, myself, Jersey Joe, and Crash. Hopefully you'll be there. It's 8 o'clock on SHR Media. But until tomorrow, thank you for listening. Have a great day. And I didn't get the closing music up and running, did I? I got to fire myself. Have a good day. You've been listening to the Reaver of Common Sense with its host, Jersey Joe. You can tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on hppundit.com and shrmedia.com.